Hey, what's going on? It's your Radio Love, Deja Vu. You know we always play the best music, right? You know we always give you all the good tickets, and we also have the legend stopping by all the time. Well, actually, no. It's a special one. His name is Babyface. Straight way back from, what is it, Indianapolis?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you might have heard of this man, giving us these hits after hits for years, and still back with Girls Night Out.
Yes.
Let's talk about this new album, Babyface.
Indeed. It's it's Girls Night Out. I have a lot of the young R&B girls that I wanted to showcase, and kind of just be about them. So we collaborated, wrote this album together.
Where did the project start from? I mean, what made you say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna get them"?
Well, initially after I did it's so long ago now, when I did Verzuz with Teddy.
We still remember Babyface and Verzuz, because you had the little comebacks. I never knew, because you're really quiet, Babyface. I didn't know that you had the little smart snapbacks like that.
I didn't know it either. I didn't mean it. So, but I did that and found out that there were a lot of fans that knew my music that were younger, and so the idea came up. Actually, the partner in this, Rika, came up with the idea that maybe I should do an album, not like XL, but similar to it, where I work with young girls. The new R&B girls.
Yes.
The new ones.
The new ones who are making waves, from Ella Mai to Young Baby Tay to all of them. Is Ari on there too?
Yes,
Ari Lennox?
yeah, Ari
Yes.
Lennox,
Oh my gosh. They're amazing.
And they're really great, yeah.
So what vibe did you have when each of them came in? Did you have like, okay, I want to go here in this zone with them?
That was the thing. It's like when I did Waiting to Exhale, it's like it was all thought out before they got there, so they just had to sing. So on this one, we sat down and we actually talked about what they wanted to sing about. So it was a complete collaboration. Every song we wrote together. So every artist came in and we talked about what we wanted to write about, what we wanted to sing about, and so that's how it kind of started. So it was not the kind of thing where I said, okay, this is it and this is how it's got to be. So it was a great collaboration.
That's awesome. So how did you narrow down? Because there are a lot of voices out there now. How did you decide? And were you trying to look for a specific sound?
Initially just who was available, and then it got down to a point to where we were looking for newer ones, and I kept on, we tried. I tried what we did, Kehlani and Ella Mai and Ari Lennox, and those were the first early ones, and then some of these new voices I hadn't heard, and Rika had told me you should check out Tiana Major 9, and I heard her and heard her voice. I thought she sounds great, so we just would have them come in. And then we did the work, and I kept on being surprised about all these young girls. So from Coco Jones to Tiana Major 9 to, forgetting the names right now. Obviously, we had Money Long in there as well.
Of course.
And so it just ended up just kind of kept coming in, and it ended up being feeling great, because everybody had a different thing to say.
I love it. All right, so that's the current happenings right now. But let's roll back into time and talk about you when you first launched off, because we've heard origin stories, but it's been a minute. So I know you were from Indianapolis. I know you and your brothers and your family sings and everything, but tell us how you first knew that you had the gift.
I don't know that I thought of it as a gift. I just started playing music at an early age, picked up a guitar and started trying to figure out how to play it. I had a crush on a girl and I wanted to write a song. So, and that's what started it. And I just kind of kept going. My brother Melvin, who was in After 7, he was had a group as well. And so, music was kind of around. So it was just something that it felt like it was something I should do. So all throughout junior high school, elementary, junior high school, and high school, music was the only thing that I would really do. It was like my voice. So it didn't seem like I should do anything else but that.
Nice. So you would sing at all the school competitions and everything? Yeah,
there'd be some talent shows that I would do, and local things that around town and stuff. You're kind of, when you're young, you kind of like, you can almost see your future happening by all the things that you do. What did you do when you were young? I announced. I did the school announcements. Good morning, Eagles. There's no band practice today. I had a feeling it might be that. So, but yeah, you just kind of find what you love, early on. And I was fortunate to keep on doing it.
Okay, so you started at high school. When did you get down with the deal?
The deal was sometime in 1981, 82, when I joined the deal. And
Did they make you audition, or was it somebody's like, yo, come on in, we just got you in, or?
Wow, it was kind of a long audition, if you want to put it that way. I actually came and started to help them do demos so that they could get a record deal. And I wasn't in the group at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so when I first started working with them, I was actually just kind of helping to record demos, and I ended up co-writing, about 3 or 4 songs. And they went and got a record deal. And then I got a call that they got a record deal. And then L.A. Reader called me and told me they got a record deal. And then he told me, oh yeah, by the way, the guys want to know if you want to join the group.
Oh, that's cool. But I didn't know you had written songs and you weren't even a part of the group officially.
Yeah, that's how it worked. That's how I started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So on that production end, how did you, did you just hear like sonically, okay, this is how these levels go when you're producing for other people?
It was all brand new at that particular point. So it was all guesswork. That's what felt good. And
evidently it worked if they got a deal.
Well, it wasn't all on me. I was really more of a songwriter, and I did just the demos, but I think they were being produced by, the whole album ended up getting produced by Midnight Star, by Reggie Calloway from Midnight Star. But it was the beginning, and that's how you kind of learn. You go in the studio and you watch what other people do, and you pick it up.
Love it. So while you were in the deal, you and LA formed a bond, and you guys started doing things on the side, or how did that work?
Pretty much, it was we ended up finding out that it just made sense for us to kind of produce together, and we had an opportunity to write for other things and do other projects, and so and I think for the most part we were trying to be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yeah, I was about to say, was there like a competition, an unnamed competition between you two?
It wasn't even a competition.
Before?
We were following them. This is like we were walking in their footsteps. Didn't think that we were competing. Didn't think that we could, at least on my part, I didn't think that we could surpass them, period. I was just glad to be doing what they were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, successfully doing it. And then, so you were producing and writing for other people. Then actually, let's talk about your albums, because we could just go back for days, from Tender Lover to Listen, I danced to Every Time I Close. That was our dance song for our first dance at the wedding, my husband and I.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and just all of the jams that you've written, not for other people, but for yourself. When did that come along with you getting your own solo deal?
That kind of happened after being in the deal for a little bit, and actually it was Dick Griffey at Solar Records that decided that he came to me and said, I think you should have a solo deal.
Really? And what did you think when he said that?
I was like indifferent about it. I said, okay, I'll try it.
Did you feel like it would do anything to the group, or was there hateration going on in the group? That wasn't even created yet, but
well, part of that reason why I said that, because initially when we did our second album in the deal, there was a song called Sweet November that I had actually submitted to the Whispers. And Dick Griffey heard that song and he said, why are you giving this to the Whispers? The deal should do this. And he told LA that the deal should do this song. And LA said, well, we don't have anybody to sing it. And he said, wait a minute, you got this kid who, why can't he sing it? He said, because he's not one of the singers in the band. So he said, well, then y'all should talk about it. So they had a meeting to see if I could sing, and they voted me not to sing.
Are you serious?
So, yeah, I was voted not to sing. So it went back to Dick Griffey, and then Dick Griffey decided that, he's going to sing it, or y'all ain't going to do no deal. So
drama.
That's how I ultimately started singing in the band. And since that was a thing, he said, well, maybe you should just do something solo, because they don't want you to sing anyway. So
And so did you write every song on that first album?
On the second album? Are you talking about my album? Yes, I did. I think there was a cover. I think I did a cover of, what was it? You Are So Beautiful. I don't know. I get the albums confused. But,
he has so many, ladies and gentlemen. I get them confused.
I do get confused. But yeah, for the most part, it was me writing, and I think I did some co-writing with some of the guys on the deal. So, yeah.
What's your favorite song to perform?
That's a good question. I don't know. I like doing when I do a whole show. I like doing it all, but I guess it all depends on how the audience is reacting.
Got you. Got you.
So.
But you have hit after hit. I've seen you perform. I've seen you run through the aisles without your shirt on, Babyface. What's going on?
Yeah, keeping that shirt on now. COVID.
I got you. I got you. All right, so you did your thing. You started the you had your albums. You and LA formed LaFace.
Yes.
LaFace Records, the record label that kicked off so many careers.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because you were producing and everything, but being a record mogul and executive is an entirely different thing.
I think it was because we were doing so much work with so many artists. Like we had, at that point, we had did Pebbles, we had did Johnny Gill, we had did The Boys, we had did Bobby Brown, and we had
my entire life soundtrack here, like for real.
So we had success there, and I think for LA it was kind of like, well, we should try to do this, you know, just ourselves, and try to do a label. And I was like, okay, I'm down, and that's kind of like how it started.
And that's how it started, and the rest, as they say, is history. But who was the first group that you signed?
Damian Dame.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the song? Remind me. I can't think.
I don't know if I can remind you.
I can't remember. I can see his face though with the hair.
Right. Okay. You
Come
know who
on,
it is.
help me. I can't remember, but anyway, yes. But yeah, so that was the first group. And how did you decide to sign other people? Were you going out scouting because you guys needed to fill rosters?
Yeah, I mean, look, we moved down to Atlanta and took Damian Dame with us because they were actually from LA, and we thought that we wanted to be a big fish in a little sea, in our pond, so to say. And so, and I think that, you know, it was, Damian Dame was the first artist, and then I'm not exactly sure how it happened, whether it was TLC that came next, and then Braxton, and it all gets kind of cluttered in there because it all just was
hit after hit after hit.
It actually took a little bit more time than you think, but
really?
It did. It's a little bit more time.
So what happened in between there? There were some duds that you were like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Give me the struggle part.
I mean, Damian Dame was our first act that we put things out on, and it in all honesty, it only took time in terms of putting the things out. But the success rate was actually pretty good because we did chart with Damian Dame. So so it was, and there may have been some things that I don't quite remember. Some acts that we started to put out, but we didn't. But for the most part, you know, we had such success because we came with TLC, and then we came with Toni Braxton. And then
what was it about Toni that connected with you? Because you guys are just like here musically.
With Toni, it was Toni had a voice that could recognize really early that she had this pain and this emotion in her voice that made sense for the kind of songwriting I did. It was easy to write for that voice. And when she was in the group with her sisters, that was the voice that kind of stood out. You know, Tamar hadn't quite. She was little, so she hadn't quite got to that point yet.
Right.
But Tamar's a really good singer
Tamar
too.
can sing.
She really can. And but Toni was the voice that popped up, and we thought that's the voice that I could work with. I could write for that. I heard so much. I remember saying to Ella, I hear there's so much pain in her voice. I could write for that. That's good stuff. And so Toni was lucky because she came at a good time where it was just some good songwriting at the time. And you know, the couple songs, she came in on the Boomerang soundtrack where she got lucky because, you know, a couple of the songs that we were trying to place on Anita Baker, Toni did the demos for.
Really? And I can hear kind of their similarities now that you mention it.
Well, Love Shoulda Brought You Home.
That was originally going to go to Anita?
Yeah, we sent it to Anita, and she said, no, that she passed on it.
What?
And so that's how Toni ended up with Love Shoulda Brought You Home.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Was that her first number one? Did it go to
I don't know.
Number one on the R&B chart?
I don't know if it was a number one. I'm not sure. It became a very popular song for her, and we also did "You Mean the World to Me," which.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
And that was also written with Anita in mind, and then so Toni was like, you know, give me leftovers at this point, because it ended up being a thing. But then there were other songs that that she got directly. But it was clearly about just the tone of her voice, and so the writing just always matched up.
When you go into the studio, is there something? Do you have conversations with the people because they say, "Oh, I talked to this one and they said whatever," or do you already just have the song and say, "Here"?
Throughout the years, it would be different. Sometimes, a lot of times, I would have the song in earlier days, and then sometimes I'd wait till they get in there to try to write something there on the spot.
What about when you have a group, like say TLC? How do you decide? Okay, we're going to have you sing this part or that part, and is it different from writing for that solo artist?
Yeah, when you have a group, then you're writing for each of those voices, and so you know what part's going to come in first. So it's best to have that figured out ahead of time, especially when you're dealing with guy groups, because everybody wants to have a part, and everybody ain't necessarily the best singer.
What guy groups have you written for?
Just a couple.
Boys to Men. New Edition. All these people.
A lot of times you just have to kind of figure out if you have it plotted out ahead of time, it just makes it a little bit easier to get through the session.
All right, so Can We Talk just recently got huge all over again on TikTok. How amazing is that people are now finding not just Tevin, but this is your music that you penned years ago. It's charting again and trending again.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about music, that especially today, because how things can get a rebirth, so to say, from either TikTok or just social media in general. And that one is, I had no idea that it had made that much of an impression. Yeah. And how many people actually know that song.
Yes.
So it's a nice thing and a really good feeling to hear that.
I sometimes forget how many songs you've done. Do you ever think about like you've done this, this, and that? I mean, you can hear a radio's whole segment and it's all Babyface songs that you've written and or produced. Even like when you did your show, you did something, maybe it was the Soul Train Awards or something, and you were going through like all the Bobby stuff and everything.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Do you look back and say, yo?
I don't usually think about it. I always go through a medley of the songs and stuff, but I don't so much think about it. I think at the time you're just writing songs and
but it's just a hit after hit and being like, there's an expectation. Does that put extra pressure on you?
It did.
Babyface wrote this song, it better be a hit.
Yeah, sometimes you would get that, but I don't worry about that, because it's like, it's either feels good or it doesn't. Sometimes they become popular and sometimes they don't. Yeah. Sometimes something might be more of an album cut that suddenly that people remember, and so it's not always about that. And the fact that we can't remember the Damien Dame song, but I remember, there was something nice about that. I remember from the get-go. So, and it actually charted, and I wasn't sure. So sometimes I think when you've had such big successes, you think that the smaller ones, you kind of forget about what they actually did. And for the longest time, I didn't know that. I was thinking that Whip Appeal was just R&B, an R&B song, but I didn't know it was actually at the top of the pop charts. And I just didn't think of it that way. So a lot of times, the biggest difference between like the 90s and R&B then is that R&B in the 90s was actually pop music as well. It was actually on the top of the pop charts as well.
You did a lot for other artists too. People only think that you've done R&B, but you've done what? Eric Clapton, Madonna, Take a Bow. There are several things that you've done in other areas. Do you have to put on a different kind of lens when you're doing that, or do you still write from, hey, this is the heartbreak or whatever that I felt?
It's always about whatever the emotion is, or whatever it is. So it's all the same. It's you might play some different kind of chords or different vibe, but other than that, it's all from the same place. And
what about the trends now musically? Like, do you see some different things that affect and impact how you work now?
That was this whole process was part of that, because the way I wanted to do this project was not to, just kind of guide it and say, okay, this is how I feel and this is what I think you should sing. So I enlisted not only just with the artists, but I also had other producers I was working with. So from like D Mile to Chris Riddick.
D Mile.
And so I had other producers that helped me put the tracks together, helped me figure out the things that I could feel okay with and feel like being on top of, and also with the girls, they had their own thoughts. They had their own flow. They had the way that they do the lyrics. It's different today. The way that you sing melodies.
Yeah, it's like da-da-da. It's a little staccato and then a little note, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's not something that's like comes natural. You know, you got to learn that. If you're not listening to it every day, it's not something that that you can just naturally do, or even know when it's good or when it's not. So this whole project was a learning process for me. So.
How old are your kids now? They're grown, right?
Kids, 20, 26, 21.
Were they like, Dad, you should get this one, or do you work with them in any kind of capacity musically?
No, they usually stay away from kind of saying which one you should do or something.
Oh, really?
They're pretty eclectic in terms of their choices in music. It's everywhere, and I don't usually kind of try to put that on because I don't want them to be embarrassed if they tell me no. Tell me, nah, that sucks, Dad. They wouldn't want to say that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's music in all of them. But I don't think that's gonna. Whether it's their calling or not, I can't really say.
Right. Well, I'm just glad that you're here talking to us. When I found out that you were coming, all my girlfriends, I told my friends in the group chat, oh, well, tell him so-and-so or ask him this and that. And I think Tim the Love of this, and somebody else told me another song that, say something about this song. What are the songs that people most request from you when they talk to you? Babyface, I love XYZ. Was it the Whip Appeal or was it a certain era? I'm your baby tonight.
Yeah, look, it's all over the place because I've been blessed enough to work with so many artists over the years and go through different pockets of, from the 90s through the 2000s. And so, but there are those special songs sometimes that kind of like last, for like whether it's a Whip Appeal or whether it's like a End of the Road.
Yes, like that song is just iconic.
Yeah. So some things
it's not going anywhere.
Some
ever.
things last, yeah, and that's the good thing about it. And so, but the real blessing is that I'm still able to kind of work with artists and still do it today.
That part. I've been asking a lot of my artists who come through what you've learned since the pandemic. I mean, I know a lot of people have shifted their mindset, their thoughts. What's changed for Babyface?
Through the pandemic?
Or post-pandemic?
Working through it. I think that, music is important to us all. And we, the fact being able to embrace it again and go back out on the road and when we were all inside and couldn't get out and appreciate it. Once we finally hit that road again, it was amazing to feel live music again and feel and see people actually perform. So I think that made us miss it even more. And that's why Verzuz did so well, because everybody was like,
yeah.
They needed it.
We wanted to see, we wanted more. But that was a moment in time as well. Like, yes. For real, everybody is still talking about you. And then I was just looking at the song lists again from you and Teddy. I mean, just two icons. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, Teddy was amazing. Teddy has an amazing catalog and is an amazing producer. So that was an honor to do it. I didn't want to do it at the time.
Why?
Glad I did it, but
why didn't you?
I didn't like the idea of competing. I thought that was. I didn't think that was
I don't really think we looked at it as competing. It was just music. It was love. I know people wanted to say, "Oh, this one, that one," but
that's the thing is that people ultimately looked at it that way. But initially, with the internet and with social media at this point, there's a lot more hate out there than there is in love, in that sense. And fortunately, at that time, I think that did come from a place of love. It ultimately came from a place of love. And it worked out for both of us that way. But I can't give social media and everything high marks in terms of love being a big piece of it at this particular point. But one thing we can say for sure is that people love music, so that's why they keep returning. And when you give people good music, then that's something that they appreciate.
Absolutely, and we appreciate all the music you've been giving us. Thank you for this new Girls Night Out Night Out album.
Yeah.
And what's in the future for Babyface? What does 2023 look like for you?
I'm just gonna keep on doing the same thing. You know, just keep on working and figuring out other projects to work on.
Any more soundtracks?
It's,
a reality show?
Who knows? No reality show. I can give you that. But other than that, I'll just keep on doing what I've been doing.
Love it. I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Babyface.
Appreciate it.
That's how we do on this Deja Vu show on WBLS.